Thank you all. It's great to see you all here this evening. Just a few words about the Art Foundation, what we do. Our mission is to build awareness for art and artists in Santa Barbara County, the Central Coast, and Southern California, to try to bring the spotlight onto art and artists. Our mission is also to help educate the public. And recently, through the Coeda and Donald Barker Foundation and Dana Newquist, who's here with us tonight, we received a grant to help sponsor young high school art students from Santa Barbara Visual Arts and Design Academy. We had an event in April. It was How Art Helped to Save the California Missions, and we had 20 students and their program director, and it was an eye-opener. These students are very literate and very conversant, but they didn't really understand much about early Santa Barbara artists. After that, we also were able to sponsor a talk by DJ Javier, a young commercial artist who spoke to 250 Santa Barbara high school students to inspire them in terms of his own artistic journey. So we're thrilled that you're here with us tonight. If you'd like to be on our email list and get invitations for future events, please fill that out. And if you would like to help donate to help us really build and fulfill our mission, which is to really bring the spotlight to artists and art in Santa Barbara and the Southern Coast and young people, we would be greatly appreciative. Now, before John introduces Ralph, I would just like to say a few words of appreciation. Not only is Ralph a wonderful friend, and Ralph and Diane are longtime members of the community and a very talented artist, he and Diane have also given back to the community through the Natural History Museum. They've helped us, Ralph has helped us doing quick draws for some of our fundraisers. So they're not only incredibly talented, but they put their heart and soul back into the community. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you very much. And I want to introduce Ralph, and I think most of you know Ralph here in the community, especially you people amongst us who are in the art community. And we appreciate that, Ralph. I don't know if many of you knew that he started as a wildlife painter in England. And Ralph, it looks like it's probably almost 50 years ago. 50 years catches up with us all. I know how well it does. Anyway, while he was in England, he was featured in many magazines. He won some awards there and so forth. He came to the United States in the 1980s. He came to California, he came to this area. He discovered, my God, there's a whole entirely different climate here in Santa Barbara. So he kind of turned his attention to plein air, and he has been started his gallery in 1989. He includes a lot of his work on murals at the U.S. Bank. They're over at Valley Club. There have been posters for old Spanish days coming right up. And we have a few pieces here in the normal day in the club here at Santa Barbara Club. He has also exhibited with the Oil Painters of America. He's a founding member of the Santa Barbara Art Dealers Association, and he's currently the chair of the Central Coast chapter of the California Art Club. Co-chair, Diane and Ralph. Okay, and with that I'll give you Ralph Waterhouse.
Good evening. Am I at the right distance from the mic? You can all hear me? Okay, well, thank you for inviting me to do this. I was very nervous and taken aback, actually, that I was actually being invited to do this. But I'm still trying to get over my nerves, but I think basically you've told my life story there, so we're pretty good on that side of things. And so I'll probably get straight on to talking about, I did actually start my life as a graphic designer before I became a painter. So I did that for a few years and then decided I wanted to paint full time. And it's been a very enjoyable career. I loved it. It was a dream, and I'm living the dream, as you say. So,
are you going to tell them about the time you spent in jail?
Yes. That he promised not to mention, but he did. So we made a little joke earlier. I said, "You've got all my bio there. You didn't mention when I was in jail." I wasn't in jail, but maybe I should be. Anyway, let's start the slideshow. Dirk. Oh, I just want to extend my thanks to Dirk. He's sitting right here. He's going to press the buttons and bring up the images. He's done a wonderful slideshow for me. I gave him the images and he just created this wonderful slideshow. So, this painting, this photograph on the left here, that was probably taken in 1983, 1984. And I just started sketching and painting outdoors, and we've jumped on to the next one, so it's okay. So on the right there's a photograph of Diana, which you can see outside our gallery downtown. So now we can go on to the next image. I started painting wildlife, and living on the coast, or close to the coast, I got to see a lot of wonderful seabirds, and that's a kittiwake, and that was nesting off the coast. They're very hard to find and to get to, but they're beautiful birds. We can go on to the next photo. Snow owls, they're not indigenous to the UK, so I must confess I cheated a little on this one, and they were in a zoo. But they very kindly posed for me, so I created the atmosphere, and I just wanted to do that, the feeling of the cold and the outdoors and the barrenness of the landscape and those two magnificent creatures. And for those who don't know birds, the ones with the heavy marking with the feathers, that's the female. She always stands out in the birds, and she does that so she can hide when she's nesting. So that's camouflage in effect. So, okay, so we'll go from that, and this, the colours are a little warm in this one, but this is a typical lane in the area where I lived in England. This is in the Lake District, and that's a very typical lane, and what you see in the pathway there's water, which you see a lot of in the Lake District. It's a very, very damp area. Beautiful place. We can go on to the next photograph now. This was one of my first California landscapes. I'm trying to think when I did that. The colours are a little rich here, but that was one of my first experiments with the painting the California landscape. So I thought I'd slip that in, and I don't regret doing it. It kind of brings back really good memories. We can go to the next. Okay, now this, again, the colours are very red here. I don't know if it's my images, but if you think that everything's like 50% less red than that in the actual painting, that is really where we are. This painting hangs in the office of Judge Tom Anderley. He bought that many, many years ago, and he said when he comes off a hard case in the courtroom, he comes and sits at his desk, and he looks across the room, and he looks at that painting, and he said, "It can't be there." It makes him think, well, there is something wonderful out there, so let's get on to it. It makes him relax. So that's the story he told me, so I thought I'd share that with you. We can go to the next painting now. That was me actually doing an outdoor painting. I'm at Elwood Bluffs there, and on top of the this little there was a bird that was there for quite a while I was painting, but then of course as soon as I got around to the time to do it, it disappeared. But that's me painting outdoors, and it was a fun day. Overcast, as you can tell. Next painting. This is Carmel Mission. When I was starting my career, I spent a lot of time in the Carmel area because I showed at galleries in Carmel, so that was a good place for me to be, and the mission is absolutely beautiful, and I decided to paint it one day, and that was the backside of the mission, which most people don't even see, but it's a very, very, very beautiful mission. Okay, and that wasn't painted plein air, but most of these paintings are not done plein air. Most of them are in the studio, and I'll point them out when I've done them outdoors. We all know what that tower is. That's looking across at the Arlington Tower, a wonderful landmark for Santa Barbara, and again, a joy to paint. It's a beautiful building. Next painting. Okay, this is looking down. Gosh, the colours are so warm. This is looking down from the road that leads down to Mission Canyon. Going down from Mission Canyon, you can look down at the seminary from that hillside. And if you're really careful, there's some little spots where you can set up. And I actually set up my easel there, and you're looking over the treetops, and I did that. It's only a small painting there, so 6 by 6, so your little numbers on that, 6 inches by 6 inches. So I did that mostly on location, then took some photographs, then went back and finished it in the studio. All these paintings are oil paintings, by the way, except for these, which were painted in gouache, which is an opaque watercolor medium. Okay, next, please. This is a quick study again I did of the courthouse at night. Being downtown all the time in the gallery downtown, I see it at night quite frequently in the winter. And when it's lit up, it's just absolutely beautiful, and it's a fabulous building, and it's a joy to paint. A lot of different angles and wonderful architecture, so it's that's my rendition of that. A quick study again, not a detailed one. Next, please. This is probably the most painted building in Santa Barbara County. This is the old gas station at Elwood, and I must admit I've glamorized it a little. It's falling apart tragically. A lot of the tiles have gone off the side. The blue parts on the bottom are all tiles, and the actual tiles on the roof are cracking and falling apart. And they've got gigantic boulders parked in front of it now, so you can't really see it properly. But it's a wonderful landmark building. It was actually used in a movie with Jack Nicholson back in the 70s. Postman Always Rings Twice, and they used that as a set piece.
Ralph,
Okay, yes.
who owns that?
Sorry?
Who owns that?
I believe Goleta, the city of Goleta owned it. Ty Warner was very cunning. He didn't want to spend a lot of money on fixing it. Underneath it, there's no gas station, so guess what's underneath it? Lots and lots of problems. So he donated it to the city of Goleta, and they can't figure out what to do with it either, which is a tragedy, really, because it's such a beautiful building, and it should be preserved. So if anybody comes knocking on your door and said, would you contribute towards fixing this building up, please do, because it's just a landmark. Okay, next. Okay. This is probably the biggest painting I've ever done. The gentleman on the left, Chris Colbert, he worked for Santa Barbara Bank and Trust, and they were redoing all their offices. And so he came along and said, would you be interested in painting some very large paintings? We've got a budget, it's not a big budget, but if you can work within the budget, would you be prepared to do some large paintings? And so I said, sure, I'll do it. Well, I didn't realize quite how large he was thinking. So I agreed. So this is the first one. I think it's 13 feet by 5. So it was quite a challenge. I managed to get into my studio on the easel, so that was I was really, pleased with that one. So my studio's upstairs in the garden. If anybody's seen it, it's tiny, but it fit in my studio and on my easel. So that was a joy to do too. Okay, next please. This painting, gosh, the colours are so red. I'm sorry, I apologise for how my work was in these colours. This painting is at Burnham Wood. It's in the library. They bought it probably 15, 20 years ago, 20 years ago. They were redoing the whole club, and so they wanted to acquire some original art, and they bought a couple of my paintings, but this is the one I was most proud of, and that sits in their library. A lot of people don't see it because it's in the library, and a lot of people don't use the library, but anyway, I'm very proud of that one. Okay, next please. Oh, shrank it. Thank you. we had a discussion, Dirk and I had a discussion before. Everything kind of came out the same width, and this painting was small. And it's a quick study I did of a cow. So again, it was sort of plain. I drew it in very quickly and finished it off later. But all of the basic drawing was done on site, and then I finished it off in the studio. But so it's a kind of a really rough, quick study. So when it was blown up, it looked really rough. So I'm glad it's back down. And even at that size, it's probably 10 times the actual painting size. Okay, next please. Okay, this is, I do this from time to time. I paint from my imagination. So I haven't seen that, I haven't been there. I wanted to be there, and I wanted to be there at that time of day. So I created the scene. So that's one of the ones I just, again, it's a little warm, but That's they're all oil paintings, by the way. So yes, that's out of here. Okay, next please. This is again one of the most oft painted areas in Santa Barbara County. It's Goleta Slough, and that's what they call the gap. The gap between the tree and the cliff here, and over the years it's actually grown up much more. In the early days when I first started painting out there, you could see more of the chalk cliff, and there was less foliage and less overgrown, so it was a little more attractive actually. But this was a study I did on location, and I threw a little bit of wildlife in there on the bottom and smaller. That was a 10 by 12, so it wasn't a very large painting. Next. Okay, this was a commission. And somebody wanted me to create a valley scene from my imagination again. They wanted eucalyptus trees, some oak trees in the background, and mountains. So, oh, I'm sorry. Are you looking at my back all that time? Okay, I can see from here. I'll get right back. So this was a game. I just made it up. I know what California landscape looks like. So I wanted to create something beautiful for them. So I painted it, and they were delighted with what I'd done. So, and I was happy that they were happy. So we were all happy. Okay, next please. And that was quite a big one actually. It was about 40 inches wide by 30. Again, another made-up scene. I wanted. The colours are strong, so strong. I wanted to capture the sun going down and burning its way through the trees there, and just. It was, I love that sort of time when you get this vibrant light, and you've got the eucalyptus trees, which are they've got a wonderful sculptured shape to them. And they're always interesting to do with the clumps of leaves and the slender branches and everything. So that was a painting I did probably 20 years ago. Okay, next please. Again, based on, not totally accurate, based on the Douglas Preserve. The trees weren't quite as pretty as that, but so I did beautify them a little. But it was a typical sunset from the Douglas Preserve in the winter, and well, actually springtime that was, but early spring. So that was did that again probably 25 years ago. Gosh. Okay, next. Again. Another study from my brain, little brain that it is, but I just had some fun. I wanted to create poppies, I wanted to create a scene. I go out a lot, and I don't always have my equipment with me. I don't always carry my paintbrushes, so sometimes I'll take photographs. It generates ideas. I'll remember things, and so from that I then go on and create a scene. So that is another trail through the spring poppies. That is a painting I actually did on location. I did it over 2 days, and it's in San Juan Capistrano. I used to go down there with the California Art Club. We used to spend a week down there painting. There was probably 50 artists down there painting at the same time, so we got to stay within the mission. We could go in there in the evening, at night. We could paint in the cloisters. We could paint inside, and that's the fountain in the centre of the. What do you put right in the middle of the mission? That was a wonderful thing to paint, and it wasn't a very powerful fountain. You can see little drips of water running down from the top of the mountain there. Next, please. This. Oh gosh, I feel bad about the painting colours. I'm just really having a problem with it. Yeah, but it didn't look like that. Okay, so there's a little story with this one. I went out early one morning. And I got my camera with me. It was before I was using my cell phone for taking photos. And I'm heading out towards Butterfly Beach, and all of a sudden the fog came in. It just came straight down. I'm on the beach, I'm walking down the beach, I think, oh God, now I'm here, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. What am I going to do? And then suddenly the light just burst through. The sun came through the trees, it just lit up the whole end of the cliff. The early part of it was in darkness, and it lit it up and it created this wonderful shadow, bright, strong light, and I quickly shot about 10 shots, and then it vanished. So it was one of those perfect moments when if you weren't there, I would never have captured that. So that's Butterfly Beach, and it was quite a big painting, but it wasn't great like that. Okay, next. That's a little study again, I did down in San Juan Capistrano. Did that on plein air, on location. You can see a lot of the texture on the brush strokes on that one. That was a little 10 by 8, and I did that in probably, I don't know, a couple of hours, 3 hours. Okay, next one, please. This was San Juan Capistrano mission again. It was so beautiful and spectacular with the bougainvillea. I don't know whether it's still like that. I haven't been down there for many years, but we used to get the whole week down there. So, you know, I would go out in the evening, I'd do little studies and take photographs, and just the sun was going down, it was beginning, the light was on inside the building, and it was just so magical. And I tried to capture that, and that again was a fairly 24 by 30 oil painting, studio work, but done from partial memory, partial photographs. Okay. This is a painting I did on location, and this is again in the cloisters of Mission San Juan Capistrano. This, you know, the old stonework was crumbling. It always gives an artist a great joy when he finds crumbling stonework. It's, you know, it's this magical thing. You know, you've got some texture to play with. You can really have a good time with it. So that was done about the same time as I did the same visit. Well, actually, we went for several years, didn't we, Diane? To that, yeah, went for several years. So that was again a plein air painting. Next, please. Again, this is Mission San Juan Capistrano, similar sort of subject matter with lots of colour and vibrance, and did that again probably 20, 25 years ago. Okay, next. This is standing on East Beach, looking east, and out towards the Coral Casino, and catching the cliffs of the bluffs of right at the top of the, and looking back onto down into the coast. It's not Coastal Ridge Road. What's the name of that street there? Butterfly Lane, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. And so Butterfly Beach is there, and beyond that you've got going down towards Fennell Point and that area down there. And that was a super cloudy day, and the clouds started to break up, and they were just building up into these columns, and the light came through again and lit the scene up. And I did some quick sketches with it, with that one, with my paints, and then I took photographs as well. So I did studies and then drew that up from a smaller painting. I'm wandering around too. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting. Just give me a yell when I'm doing it. Okay, next please. Dawn, but down out to the Galita Slough area. That's Galita Slough Inlet there. I went out again, same sort of ideas when I was out at Butterfly Beach. And again, this time I took my camera. I can't capture that sort of light and the colours and quickly, so I took my little camera with me and took a lot of photographs and came back and did the painting. Started the painting the same day, so everything was fresh in my mind. And that one I did very quickly because it's simple. You know, not a lot of detail in it, and so I completed that one in the same day that I gathered the information. And that's 9 by 24. Next, please. This is a romanticized view looking at the Douglas Preserve cliffs. This I did, and it was actually sold at the Museum of Natural History Art Walk. Scott bought that, didn't he? Yeah, yes he did, yeah. One of our friends and clients, he purchased that at the event, and that was again a big painting. It's 5 feet wide. And almost 39 inches deep, so that was, again, I used the reference and made it a little bit, put some flowers in it and just made it look pretty and it wasn't there. Anyway, there were more trees up there on the Douglas Preserve then, by the way. If you go up there now, there are hardly any. They're just dying off wholesale because of lack of rain. Okay, next one, please. Oh, this. This, we were on a train journey going up to San Luis Obispo, and we were going through up the coast there in the train, and the train got stopped. They were doing work on the line, and so I had my camera with me, and I'm looking out of the window, and there's this wonderful. I think that's where that Japanese submarine was. Any of the older members of the community remembers. Well, they won't remember it actually, probably heard about it. But I think it's Point Hondas. And that again was a lovely spring day, and that wonderful rocks up there. So that was just something I just had to capture again. I took a lot of photographs and worked from my reference, and just created the best I could. Next one, please. This again, it was a trip up to San Luis Obispo. I was going up the, before there were quite as many wineries, you could go up the 46, and you know, there were actually farms and what have you on the wayside. So this is probably about 30 years ago since I did this one. And there were some big eucalyptus trees there which I dramatized, an old barn, and I raised the height of the mountains and just had fun with it. I do that a lot, actually. I just have fun with the painting and create something which I dream people could actually see. Okay, next one, please. This was done in Nantucket. We were on there one summer, and it was very beautiful out there, and everything was very flat. There's a lot of standing water, and that's a painting. The sun was just breaking out there and giving wonderful colours. But the colours again are so strong. It's a shame it's not seeing as they are. Okay, next one, please. This is another one. It's based on the bird refuge, and eucalyptus trees and the hills in the background there. I added some foliage and just had a lot of fun with the sky. The sky actually, the sun was going down and breaking through, and so I had some fun with the sky and changing the colours and just giving it a little more vibrance. Okay, next one, please. This, Santa Ynez Valley, this is an actual place. I was on, probably trespassing. I wandered onto this, down this little lane, and then wandered off down these fields, and there was no one around, and the fields had been ploughed, and obviously spring because there's a bit of greenery there. And I just created this little scene of they were obviously part of a bigger windbreak at some time. And the little barn in the background wasn't quite like that, it was just a little house. So I wanted a nice red barn in there, so I put a nice red barn in there. But the mountains, everything else were as well. Okay, Santa Ynez. That was another thing, Santa Ynez. Actually, that's the same area, and it was at a different time, it was fully planted. And again, I went out with my paints. I took my camera, I did some little sketches, but I took a lot of photographs of this one too, and created this from a mixture of photographs. And I had decided a little bit of rain would have been nice if we could have seen it. And so I just added the rain in the grooves there, just to give it make the path look wet. A little red truck in the background to give a little point of interest. So that again, part reality, part imagination. Okay. This is Los Caneros. That painting, it says based on Los Caneros, which is true. I did glamorize it a little. But that was a big one, 30 by 48. That is in the private collection at the Valley Club. And it proudly sits there in the entrance hall there. And as anyone here who's a member of the Valley Club can attest to it, that those colours are way too strong. On the image. Okay, next please. Again, a little bit of imagination at play here from Mr. Waterhouse. He decided to have some fun with the poppies and introduced a barn. He put some extra trees in. The trees were a little scraggly. And the hills was interesting, so made the hills a little more interesting. And there we go. I produced another painting. Twisted the path a little, take you into the painting. It's just, yeah, I seem like a fantasist, don't I, rather than... Okay, next please. This was another one which I enhanced a little, but the colours are going too strong. I was driving back on the 101, and I pulled off on the one of the freeway off-ramps, and there was a whole bank of eucalyptus trees. This again was quite a long time ago. I've driven by it many times since, and they don't look anything like that anymore. They're all full out, they're filled, you can't see the trunks of the trees or anything, but the mountains were in the background, and the sun was going down, and so I dramatized it a little and had some fun, put a path in there, just a field, and made the mountains a little taller, and yes, some clouds. Okay, so that was another one. This is the poster I did. I was commissioned by Kelly Magny, Kelly Jensen, she is now. And this was a 2007 poster, and we talked about what we were going to do, and she was a La Presidente. I thought it would be a good thing to do her. She said, well, that'd be really nice, but I don't want, it could be my physique, but not my head. So she's a redhead, so that was her dress, and she posed for me. And there were no people dancing on the steps in the background, but I added those for the touch of colour. So she did actually pose on there, and I took, and we had some a little personal interest on that one. It was sitting on my easel, the actual painting, which has a little more on it has some more on the left here, the whole, because I had to crop it to fit it on the, so around here you see the little fountain, it's spouting a little water. And I came in one day, and there was a big blob of paint all the way down the painting. It was white. It was white paint. How on earth did that get? Sorry? Oh, wow. I'm going on, aren't I? Okay, I won't tell a story. Next one. No story. Next. What?
5 minutes.
Okay. So what Diane had been in, she thought, that needs a little more.
Yeah.
There's not enough water coming off the fountain. So she said, I think I can help him with this. So she actually took the brush, took white paint on, put it on, and it dribbled. And then she didn't know what to do, and she didn't call me. She was hoping I wouldn't notice, wasn't So anyway, so it's nice that when she started, I said, okay, another imaginative painting from me. We created a wonderful sunset and just had fun with it. I love playing with colour and what have you, so let's pass on to the next. Again, that belongs to a member of the club, I think, Andy Galt, I think, has that painting. Do you all know Andy Galt? Yeah, anyway, so I believe he has that painting, bought it many years ago, probably about 20 years ago, something like that too. Okay, next please. This was a plein air study at Lake Los Caneras, fall colours, which are dramatic. You can see the brush strokes on that, which is why I let it stay so large. It's nice to see the brush strokes, and the painting is only a small painting, but it's got a lot of texture to it, and I actually did that on location. Next please. Again, imaginative painting. That's something I created and had a lot of fun with, and it's not there, but it could be, couldn't it? It just could be. Next, please. This, I was on vacation in Italy with some very good friends of ours, and we were staying in a house. She'd rented the house, we were there as a guest, and this was in the yard, and I stood there and painted it one day. And that's in Cortona, it's a watchtower, an old watchtower, but actually now it's used for accommodation. But that was a lot of fun. Okay, next please. Again, Lake Los Caneras, I did a quick sketch there. That tree now is totally gone, it's just... Okay, next. This was, somebody commissioned me to do this, and I can't remember, it's been a long time now. And this was looking down from Ortega Hill over the valley at the orchards and vineyards, and the orchards mainly down there, and there were lemon groves, I think. And so I romanticized it, and added a little colour, drew all the roads in, and had a lot of fun with it. The mountains are accurate. Some of the foreground is actually as that, but like I say, I did take a little artist license and play with it a little. Next, please. Nantucket again. We were out there, this was a beautiful scene. I painted that in the studio. When I got back home, I didn't take my paints with me on that trip. So that was in Nantucket. And this was an old dory in Nantucket. That was, just sitting there, and it was such. I just had to. I photographed it, and it was just magical to see that boat just sitting there. There's a house up just over to the right there, and I did a decent-sized painting of that and shipped it to Nantucket and sold it over there. Next, please. Again, Nantucket sunset, just beautiful colouring. Next, please. This is Deborah Slough, sort of semi-high tide. The local lady and gentleman owned that one, and I had a lot of fun. It's not quite as red as that, but that's Deborah Reflections. Next, please. I did that on plein air, going up into the Eastern Sierras, And so that's on the eastern side, looking across the valley there, and when the sun goes down, wow. The colours again are too strong, but it was just magical out there in that area. Next, please. That's up on Elwood Mesa, and I painted that from a small study I did. I did a little on-location sketch and took a lot of photographs and did that from the sketches. Next, please. That's one of my favourite spots again. That's going to the slough. Yes, so just a lot of fun with that one. Next, please. This is up at Morro Bay, Back Bay. I thought I'd throw the little bird in there, just give it a little extra interest. But I did that, some of that on location, and the rest of it in the studio. Next, please. Imagination again, a little based on Gillian owns that. Gillian Lanny owns that. She's a member of the club. Okay, next, please. This one again was a creation of mine. And it's quite a big one, 36 by 48. I painted that again probably 20-some years ago. Next, please. Those people, some of you may know them. Luke Swanson, Stacey, myself, and Maria and Thank you. Okay, next, please. That was at the Museum of Natural History. That's romanticised Elwood Bluffs sunset. It was a big painting, 36 by 60. Next one, please. That's at the bottom of the San Marcos Pass. It's in the meadows there. A couple of us in the audience tonight own that, and that was a lot of fun. And they actually purchased that from the Natural History. Thank you. I'll just say I'm losing my mind. Okay, next, please. Again, gosh, they're everywhere. That was at Mr. McGinty's wonderful event he had last year. I painted a painting demonstration, and it was auctioned off, and that lovely couple there purchased it. So that was me with my little easel there. Okay, next, please. Sorry. Okay, that was again studio painting of Gaviota with that famous rock out there. Next one, please. That's Devereux, and again, a great spot to paint. Love it, love it, love it. Go there as often as I can. Next, please. That's Santa Ynez Valley. That's a Sedgwick ranch. Got permission to go onto the ranch, and had a lot of fun out there. I did some studies out there, actual real studies, and then took a lot of photographs too. And so that's one of the results of that trip. Next, please. That's sunset looking from the Douglas Preserve. We live very close to the Douglas Preserve. In fact, it's right in front of my house. And so that was a winter sunset, a spring sunset, sorry, not a winter sunset, a spring sunset. So looking at UCSB and you see the tower of UCSB. Next, please. That again is Elwood Mesa. Very, very vibrant sunset, much more vibrant in the photograph than the painting, but that again is based on Elwood Mesa. Next, please. And that's out in the lobby. That's a 12 by 12 studio painting of the courthouse. Next one, please. That's a studio painting of the Butterfly Beach, morning light, and you see the little bathhouse in the background. And I decided Taiwanese palm trees didn't appeal to me, so I painted them out and took it back to what it used to look like. So, okay, next, please. And that is a couple I know, my wife and daughter. That's Diane, and that's me in the check shirt. And I think that's it for the evening.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate this. I would like to say we have time for questions and so forth, but if you're going to hang around for dinner, I think people should address their questions and carry them to you as they can see you walk around and see this. I do also know, besides a special evening with us, this is a special day for us. But I think it's also a special day for you. Isn't this a birthday for Ralph Waterhouse? Happy birthday, Ralph Waterhouse. No. I am told happy birthday to okay, well then, is it an extra birthday? How did we get that information? Diane. Oh, wonderful. Don't push it. JD, don't push it. Here you go. Well now, Ralph, you've got to take people's questions all over the evening. we do wish you a happy birthday whenever that happens. Ralph, thank you again very, very much. This has been a delightful thing. I've seen Ralph, I've auctioned 2 of his quick draws off in my life, and I think it's great fun. It's great fun to work with him in that regard. Thank you. We should work our way outside to dinner out here on the lawn. It's open.